You may think this work is very strange. It's new work for me, and I did it because I wanted to show with Miggs, and I wanted to have fun, just like I think his work is. And we wanted it to hang together well, which I think it does. I think the sizes are good, and the fun of it is good. Now, my usual work is, and has been for many years, like a decade, about film noir, movies from the 40s in Hollywood. And I became hooked on film noir when I was 11. And we lived in an apartment where we only had one bathroom for 5 of us, and the movie house down the street was like a movie palace, and it was air conditioned. So I spent, whenever I wasn't in school, and it was a quarter then, so I spent all my time at the movies. And I got hooked on them like an addict. And I loved what were called the weepies. I don't know if any of you have ever heard that term. The weepies were women's movies where something always happened that was terrible, and then it all came out all right. And they were all black and white. So I became hooked also on black and white, which my work has been until you see a few of these paintings which are in color. I just took a break, but they're all people from film noir. And I've invented them, I've changed them so that you don't recognize them. Some of them you will recognize. And then I got the idea to do these. They are computer manipulated heads of 1940s film stars. And some of them you may recognize. I purposely wanted you to recognize some of them, and some of them you won't. I also like to write, and I wrote all these stories. I call them fictitious icons, and they echo the publicity that was written about them in the 1940s. One of the things I didn't put in these that they always did in the publicity of the 1940s were the stars' measurements, their bust, their waist, their hips, and how tall they were. But I felt that that was unnecessary. But I did a show at the University of Southern Indiana years ago where I did 250 of these. And I wrote 250 stories, and they all had busts, waist, and hips. So I decided it was unnecessary. But all the wording is both biographical, some of it is about my family, and some of it is from the pictures that I saw and read about, and then I invented the rest. And I think they're fun. I had the privilege during my life of being a friend of the artist Christo and his wife, and I traveled with them. And I always remember when someone asked them, "Why do you do what you do?" Their answer was, and I love the answer, "Because we want to." And I never did work for anybody. I don't even do commissions. I just do what I want to do. And I can't explain my head to you. But I am in another world much of the time when I work. I'm in the world of noir. And the circles under my eyes are from TCM on Saturday nights, from watching Eddie Muller show film noir movies from like 10 until 3 in the morning. And I love them. I just love them. They are so funny. They're not, they're old, and they're not today's world. And they're comical to me. And they are not sad, or they don't have crime to me. All it is fun for me. I have been a very happy person, and I don't have any angst, and I don't have artist block. I just do what I want to do. And I can't explain these except I love them. And the stories are very, very true and funny of that time. And the picture above me is when I was 3½. My mother and father were musicians, and they played, and they had me learn a song to sing with them. And when I was 3, they took me out on stage, and I got stage fright. I couldn't sing, I couldn't talk. They put me back in a dressing room and gave me pencils and paper at 3, and I began to draw children's drawings. And the first Christmas after the summer, they said, "What do you want Santa to bring you?" And I said, "An easel." And at 3, I started drawing, and I haven't stopped since.
Thank you, Anne, very much. That was terrific. So any questions for Anne?
I remember your paintings from years back. I visited you once, I think in your studio. Anyway, I love them, and I love that whole period of time too. And are you still doing those big black and white?
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
Good to hear.
I do a lot of different things. I'm never bored.
I know, you're not when you're a painter.
Right.
Yeah, it's great.
Yes.
Do you have any male stars that you...
Do I have what?
Male stars from the 30s and 40s that you represent in your photos, or is it just...
No, my work has mostly been about women. And I have paintings that have male stars in them, but they're abstract and they are support figures. I got hooked on women because I grew up with a mother and 6 aunts and 2 sisters. And I loved their dresses and I loved their hats. And the men only wore gray hats and gray suits. It wasn't interesting to me. So that also is true.
Okay, thank you very much, Anne.